Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? So, I think there's a lot of confusion around exercise, nutrition, phasing, timing, when it comes to properly structuring your plan to really just get maximum results. If you guys have been working out for a while, you probably can relate that you might go into this like diet phase where you're cutting calories and trying to train really, really hard, and then you just get burned out. You feel like crap, you're sore all the time, and you just quit. And you go back to eating normal and you gain all your weight back that you lost, and 6 months later you're kind of scratching your head like, wait, what did I just do? What was that all about? And then, on the other side of that coin might be something like maybe you're trying to put on muscle, right? So then you eat a bunch of calories and you train and you're not doing any conditioning, you're just lifting heavy weights, you're just eating a ton of food. You put on all this muscle, all this size, and then you cut too hard, you lose all the weight that you just gained, and then again, 6 months, 12 months later, you're kind of like the same, right? And so you just get stuck in this perpetual maintenance mode. So how do we do this? How do we properly structure our training, and how do we properly structure our nutrition so that way we don't lose all the results that we just gained? All right, so let's break this down, okay? So first off, let's take the fat loss approach, and then we'll talk about the muscle gaining approach, because there's very different processes that we need to go through depending on what the goal is, okay? So we'll just take fat loss first. So let's just say you need to lose some body fat. We'll use 30 pounds as a solid number. I think that of all the calls I get on, I would say most people are looking to lose anywhere from like 20 to 40 pounds. So we'll use that as a good case study here, okay? All right, want to lose 30 pounds, all right? So one of the mistakes I see in that scenario is people will be like, okay, I gotta lose 30 pounds. What's the first thing they think of? I gotta work out all the time. I gotta eat less, right? So they'll start eating like 1,000 calories a day. They're just eating like a little bird. They're running in, they're doing fasted cardio in the morning. They're doing a boot camp class at night. They're just kicking their ass, and then they're hungry, they're tired, they're sore. Let's just say they lose the 20 pounds. They force themselves to losing that weight by sheer effort and willpower. Cool, congrats, you feel good, right? Look what I just did. I just lost 30 pounds. But then the problem, of course, is the path they took to lose that weight is fundamentally unsustainable. You can't starve yourself and overtrain forever. There's a finite capacity to how long you can do that. And so, as soon as they go back to normal, they slowly but surely gain all that weight back, right? Because they haven't really created a new set point for their body yet. And their body's still hanging out around 30 pounds heavier metabolically, right? Their homeostasis. So in order to create a new homeostasis, you have to kind of drill it. You got to stay there. You got to really hunker down at that new weight for long enough for that to become your new metabolic set point, right? So how do we do that effectively? So first thing you got to do, guys, is you never want to just arbitrarily assign yourself calories, because everybody's different. Like my metabolic rate is like 3,000 calories a day, right? Where another guy, that might be total cut for them. If they're bigger, stronger than me, that might be like complete like diet zone for them. Then another guy, that might be like crazy muscle building territory for them too, if they're smaller. So everybody's different, right? So you have to really not just jump on a calorie target that you read or that some other person told you to do or that you assume. You really just want to put yourself through a process where you collect some data, like just spend a week. How much am I actually eating? Pull out an app, go to MyFitnessPal, go to Macro Helper or whatever the other apps are, and just do your best to just track your food for an entire week. Everything you eat, alcohol, drinks, juices, food, snacks, like be relentless, get in there. How much am I actually consuming in a week, right? You might find that after 7 days of tracking your food, let's just say you're around 2,500 calories a day, okay? Oh, wow, interesting. Some days I had 2,000 calories, other days I had 3,000. But if I were to average out that 7 days, I was about 2,500 calories a day. Great information to have. That's a great starting point. Now what you want to do is you go, okay, I've been 30 pounds overweight for a year now, and on average, I'm eating 2,500 calories a day, for example. Okay, so now we know that set point where you're at right now is how you maintain that your current body weight. So a great approach would just be, let's just go ahead and drop a 20% deficit from that, right? So that you're looking at 500 calorie drop. So if you're at 2,500 and that's maintaining that extra 30 pounds on you, then why don't we drop it down to 2,000 for a while? And that would be a great starting point, okay? So now we want to go, all right, so 2,000. So remember, what's the big mistake? The mistake people cut too deep. They go way too low and it's not sustainable. So we go, okay, I'm at 2,500 on average, so I'm just gonna bring it down to 2,000. Maybe you're at 2,000 on average and you bring it down to 1,600. You see where I'm going though, right? So whatever your average is, I think a great starting point is 10 to 20% deficit, okay? Depending on the goal. So in that case, we wanna just commit now. All right, 2,500 calories. Think of it as a 12-week chunk, dedicated fat loss phase. We're gonna go for it. We're gonna go 2,000 calories relentlessly. You're gonna track everything you consume, 2,000 calories. We're gonna pull that body fat off. 12 weeks, dedicated fat loss phase. You're gonna probably lose somewhere between 15 to 25 pounds in that 12 weeks, maybe 10. So much of it depends on compliance and accuracy, right? A lot of people unintentionally underreport, all right? You with me on that? You unintentionally, wasn't your fault, you're not meaning to, but you're just underreporting how much you're eating. So you're saying, all right, I'm at 2,000 calories, but you're not tracking the little bite of that, the little scoop of this, the little drink of that, right? So really you're probably more like 25 because your body's trying to slowly get you back up to that 2,500 calorie where you've been eating for a long time. So you really gotta be relentless, you gotta be accurate, right? Accuracy determines results. Consistency, everyone thinks, oh, you gotta be consistent, and that's true, but if you're consistently inaccurate, then what good is that gonna do, right? You gotta be accurate. So no, I'm eating 2,000 in that scenario. Okay, after about 12 weeks, you should have a good 10 to 20 pounds off of you at that point. Great, good job. Now though, we don't just wanna just go back to 2,500 because your body's gonna be like, thank you, I'll take all those calories, I'll put them right back to where you were because metabolically, we're still at 25. So you gotta be careful, you gotta phase it. You gotta phase your rebuild appropriately. So you go 2,000. Then hunker down there for a week or two. Then 21, hunker down there for a week or two. 22, 23, so maybe over the course of 6 weeks, you're building your calories back up. All the while, you're monitoring your scale weight, right? So you're weighing in every morning, you're seeing it, right? What happens to my scale weight if I add 100 calories back in? Cool, now, well, it might go up a little bit and then it might drop as your metabolism catches up, right? So then we go another 100 calories and we see the scale weight go up a little bit, then it drops again. Great, we're maintaining that 20 pounds we just lost. Then we go up another 100 calories, just scale weight go up and then drop again. See where I'm going with this, right? So you wanna keep rebuilding your calories slowly while tracking your scale weight to make sure that you're not just shooting back up in weight. Because if you see the scale going way up, you need to pause and you just need to stay where you're at for a little while and let your metabolism even out, and then you can go into another increase in calories, okay? So you wanna do that for 6 to 8 weeks. We call it a rebuild phase, where you're rebuilding your calories slowly, resensitizing your body, because after 12 weeks of dieting, you need to resensitize, right? What you don't wanna do is just stay in diet zone forever, right? Because metabolism is a lagging indicator of calories, right? So if calories are just low, the metabolism's gonna go down, and you get flat, you get diet fatigue, you get burned out, you get hangry, you wanna quit. 12 weeks is a great chunk of time for that initial dedicated fat loss phase. Pull that first 10 to 25 pounds off of you. Then you gotta go into that rebuild, right, that we just talked about. Slowly monitoring your scale weight. Once you've kind of reached the crescendo of your rebuild and you're noticing the scales not going down anymore and you've kind of landed on what your maintenance is, then at that point now, if you still have more fat you want to lose, you can go into one more fat loss phase, drop it back down to 2,000 calories, lose another 5 to 15 pounds or whatever it is, and then initiate another rebuild. The rebuilds are just so important. You got to resensitize, right? You got to get out. You got to keep your metabolism acclimating and adapting to its environment. If you stay stagnant, then things are just going to keep getting lower. Okay, so that's how you want to approach a proper fat loss cycle from the nutrition standpoint. Now, from the exercise standpoint in a fat loss cycle, you don't make the mistake of trying to overdo it, right? Like, this is not the time, if you're in a fat loss cycle, that is not the time to be setting personal records, trying to increase your strength, trying to put on muscle, trying to do competitions or something. That is not the time for this, okay? Dedicated fat loss phase is when you put exercise on maintenance mode while we tackle and commit to that diet, right? Because you're on a diet. You're eating less calories and your body's burning off. That is inherently stressful to your system, and you need to be sensitive to that and not try to then compound the stress by overtraining and I'm gonna max out my squats, I'm gonna run 10 miles. Now's not the time for that. You're in a dedicated fat loss phase. You're eating less food. You need to just work out a few good times a week, 3-4 good resistance training, give yourself a little rest, go hit 10,000 steps every day, maybe a little light jog. Don't overdo it though. Think of it as just what's the minimum effective dose with exercise to just maintain my muscle tissue and maintain my level of fitness while I'm burning off body fat, right? Makes sense? Then once you go into the rebuild phase, okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna go into an 8-week rebuild phase. So maybe now is the time you're adding 100 extra calories a week for the next 2 months. Cool, you're giving your body more carbohydrate, more protein, more fats. Now that you're building up calories, let's go ahead and start to increase your exercise a little bit, right? Let's go ahead. You wanna lift a little bit heavier, throw some extra weight on the barbell. You want to push a little bit harder during a boot camp class. You want to, really push your exercise. Now is the time when you have a little bit more calories in your system. Okay, initiate that rebuild phase. You can focus a little bit more on performance now. But then once you get to that maintenance, if you still have one more fat loss cycle to get to your ultimate goal, then again you need to follow suit. Cool. Maybe you spent 8 weeks ramping up your training, you're lifting heavier, you're feeling good, but then you want to go down to one more fat loss cycle. I would advise you to then keep your exercise kind of at maintenance level now. Don't try to keep pushing it. Don't try to keep adding more weight to the barbell. Don't try to keep lifting heavier, but just chill while you pull yourself down into one more 6 to 12 week fat loss cycle to really finish up that 30 pounds you're trying to lose or 40 pounds you're trying to lose, right? And then you initiate another rebuild at maintenance, and then you can start to increase the intensity and frequency of your exercise. And then at that point, if you have reached that perfect place where you've pulled that 30, 40 pounds of body fat off, you've done 2 successful fat loss and rebuild cycles, well, now you can just keep pushing to see where your maintenance level is. And now you can really shift the focus towards more strength training and performance, and just keep maybe maintaining at that maintenance level of your calories, maybe even adding more calories and really trying to push it while you're increasing size and strength. And then throughout the year, just think of it as this undulating sort of wave of pulling down into a little bit of a mini cut for 6 to 8 weeks, followed by a 12-week rebuild, right? So in other words, we go from a 12-week fat loss to a 6 to 8 week rebuild, and then another fat loss until you get to your initial goal. And then you want to flip the script, and then you want to go into maybe a 12-week rebuild where you're pushing with calories and exercise. And then after 12 weeks of that direction, pull down into a 6 to 8 week mini cut, drop your calories back down, put exercise on maintenance while you lean out again. And just think of your year as just kind of undulating wave of rebuild, mini cut, hold cycles. And that's how you, over the course of time, really recomp. Everybody hears this word recompositioning. Big misconception is that you're gonna do it at the same time. I'm gonna build muscle and I'm gonna burn fat at the same time. No, you're not. Not noticeably anyways. Maybe technically a little bit, but you're not noticeably. But if you wanna really recomp, it's that. It's dedicated phases, kind of undulating throughout the year, starting out with getting yourself lean, rebuild, lean, and then once you're as lean as you wanna be, then you flip it around, you go 12-week rebuild to maybe a 6-week mini cut, 12-week rebuild again, 6-week mini cut. And over the course of time, you just keep ratcheting up, and that's what's really going to, in a year, 2 years, recomposition your body, right? Where you've got 10, 15 more pounds of lean muscle, cut your body fat down to great levels. So you can see all the fruits of your labor. That is a journey. Everybody thinks, I'm gonna do a 12-week transformation. It's no, you're not. It's 12 weeks. You're lucky if you even get, the first 15 pounds of fat off of you in 12 weeks, 20 pounds of fat off of you in 12 weeks. But then you gotta get serious, right? And that's gonna filter out the people who are serious and those who are just looking for a quick fix. Because if this is a lifestyle for you, then who cares if it takes a year, 2 years, 10 years? I've been doing this for 20 years. 20 years. I've been getting under that damn barbell for 20 years, all right? So like, who cares if you don't hit the goal in your first few months? By the way, you're not going to, you know? Like, come back in 10 years and we'll see who's still on it. But if it's a lifestyle, that's what you want for yourself, then it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? So anyways, there you go, guys. Kind of a longer video, but that's how you wanna structure your rebuild and cut cycles. So if we wanna lose fat, if that's the initial goal, then you really wanna go into 12-week dedicated fat loss, 6 to 8 week rebuilds, and then another fat loss. Do 2 or 3 of those until you get as lean as you want to be. Don't stay in fat loss town forever. After 12 weeks, you need to rebuild to resensitize your body and then go back into another fat loss. But you got to be accurate. Don't unintentionally underreport like so many people do and think, oh, I'm dieting, when really you're only dieting Monday through Thursday, but then Friday through Sunday, you're just eating like a fat boy, you know, like you need to be accurate 7 days a week. And then once you get as lean as you want to be, then you just flip the script, right? And then you go into 12-week rebuilds. You could even, if you're a really thin person, you could even do 16-week, you know, rebuilds. You could even, dare I say, bulk, you know, but I like to use the word rebuild. It kind of gives it a much more of a universally accepted a feeling, right? Rebuilding, everybody kind of get it behind rebuilding. Not everybody wants to bulk, but everybody could rebuild. So, you know, so 12 to 16 week rebuilds, and then followed by 6 to 8 week mini cuts. All right, so cut first, small rebuilds, and then once you're as lean as you want to be, bigger rebuilds, smaller cuts, and that kind of just maintains body composition, but just keeps, you know, stacking your muscle and your lean tissue on while you stay lean. So there you go, guys. Have a great Friday, and I will check you all later.